right, well, welcome back to the Merck Method, where we explore mental wellness, growth, and the human experience. I appreciate all of you coming back to listen to the podcast today, and if this is your first time listening, I appreciate you as well. Today's episode is brought to you by Radiant Beauty Collective by Rach. Founded by Rachel Johnson, my lovely wife, Radiant Beauty Collective by Rach is a results-driven skincare studio located inside Suite 3 Salon in Rockford, Illinois. Rachel is focused on helping clients love and maintain their skin for the long term. She offers customized facials, waxing, back treatments, brow lamination and tinting, lash lift and tinting, and airbrush spray tans in a welcoming, relaxing space. Skincare isn't just a luxury, it's a priority. Rachel believes that radiant, healthy skin is an investment, not an expense. If you're ready to prioritize self-care and commit to lasting skin confidence, Radiant Beauty Collective by Rach is your home. So you can go on Instagram at Radiant Beauty Collective by Rach and book your appointment today. So with that being said, today's episode, we're going to be talking about healing. So one of the reasons that I wanted to actually do this podcast episode today was mainly because I saw a video that was going through my Instagram feed, and it was a video of a daughter, I'm guessing, sitting on a couch, and then all of a sudden the dad comes in and, he loses it because I'm just assuming that they haven't seen each other for a very long time. I didn't really get to the information behind the video because I was more concerned about what song they were using. And also, as a father to a daughter, I kind of lost it myself. So after I was actually done, crying for a minute, I looked up the song and realized that the song was from the American Idol winner, Jamal Roberts, called Heal. And I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure somebody else sang that song originally, but to me it doesn't make any difference because I heard that version and that's the version that stuck with me. And I really strongly suggest looking it up and downloading it, or at least listening to it to maybe download it, because it is extremely powerful it's telling you that it's okay to heal. And it basically, I looked it up and, you always look up maybe sometimes what the song is written for. And it basically talks about past traumas, allowing yourself to have permission to heal, but also when healing, using that to help others. So obviously this song really resonates with me because that's exactly what I'm doing with this podcast and everything else that I'm doing up to this point. So I encourage you to go listen to it. It's a great song. It's very, very small. I'm not really sure if it's 3 minutes or not. I think it's worth a listen. And that's why I wanted again to start this episode, because we talk about trying to heal from past traumas and past events that might have broken us or really just pushed us in the direction that we don't want to go to. Have you ever felt like you've been carrying something for years, like a regret or some kind of pain, or you're just waiting for someone to tell you it's okay? That's what that song felt like to me. And I've been there. I think we all have, really. Healing is one of the hardest things we ever do, not just because our hearts want to, but because so often we're waiting for the world to just give us permission. There's so many things that we're waiting for somebody to just go, yeah, you're right. That little nudge, maybe somebody outside the circle, of friends or family or whatever, maybe a work buddy or somebody that's just somebody you respect that just goes, yeah, you know what? This is something that you need to do. This is okay. So this episode is what I want to talk about, just giving yourself that permission, and talking about what healing really looks like and why it's okay to choose yourself and really how to take those steps forward without anyone else's approval, because you really don't need anybody else's approval for this. No one's going to be there to hold your hand. They might help you, but in the end, you are the one that decides which way you go. So if you're listening right now, this is your invitation that it's okay to heal. This is your permission. I want you to take a deep breath. This is always a safe space. Okay? When I used to think about healing, I imagine that moment where the pain just disappears, right? I'm not holding on to it anymore, it just wistfully goes away. Like one day I'll wake up and everything will feel just right. But real healing doesn't really work that way, right? Healing isn't about erasing our past or pretending the pain never happened. Everything that you've done up until this point has to happen. You couldn't have gotten to this point without the good, the bad, and the indifferent. But it's about learning to live beyond that point. It's about reclaiming those pieces of yourself that got buried under all that weight from all those experiences I was just talking about. But here's the truth, like anything else, healing isn't linear, right? It's just not a straight shot from point A to point B. You can feel okay one day and then be triggered tomorrow. That's a lot of things, really. You can make progress for weeks. You can be great. You can be like, I think I passed this now. And then something small will send you spiraling. You might have huge anxiety from something, right? But you got to remember that's normal. That's the biggest thing. It's all about awareness. Understanding that it's normal to have those feelings, but we don't want to stay in that pattern. So I always use analogies when I'm talking with people. So here's one for healing that I liked. Think of it like tending a garden. Okay. Some days you're planting new seeds, some days you're pulling out weeds, and some days you're just watering and waiting. But if you think about it, all of that is growth, right? It's just a process. You might not see things right away, but it's still growth. If you're in a place right now where you feel stuck, and I know a lot of you are, just remember, even if you can't see it yet, just showing up for yourself is already part of that healing. That's still progress. Because at the end of the day, it's you versus you. One of the most powerful steps in healing that I feel is giving yourself permission to do that. A lot of times we don't do that. A lot of times we just kind of brush it under the rug, a lot like everything else, really. And it does sound simple, but I think about it, how often do we wait for someone else to say it's okay? Probably all the time. It's again like one of those things where we've been taught to be strong and stuff, and we've been told that resting or choosing ourselves somehow makes us weak. That thing, we got to break that. It's not weak to take care of yourself. Somebody has to take care of you, and nobody knows you better than you, right? What if I told you that you don't need anyone else's approval? You really don't. Your healing is yours. You have the power to start whenever you want, but you got to keep going too. You can't just start and let it go. It's not like going to the gym after the holidays and then all of a sudden we stop. Man, I'm bad at that. I want you to take a moment and think about this for a second. What is one thing you've been waiting for permission to do? I know there's one thing on the top of your list that you feel that you need someone's permission for. Maybe it has to do with a relationship. Maybe it's forgiving someone. Maybe it's forgiving yourself. So, what would happen if you gave that permission to yourself right now? Once you give yourself that permission to heal, the next step is letting it go. And this is the part that can feel impossible. That's why people get scared to do it. It's an unknown that they don't know what the end result's going to be. I get it. The letting go part is for you. It's not for anybody else. Imagine carrying a heavy suitcase everywhere you go. I talk about people that have anxiety that doesn't belong to them, and I always tell them, always drop those bags. Those are not yours to carry. You can ask anybody that talks to me. I've used that analogy 1,000 times over. Problem with it is you think you can handle that, but over time it starts to get heavier and heavier. And you start to get exhausted. Maybe your hands start to ache, it wears you down, your back hurts. Healing is the moment you set that bag down and say, I don't need to carry this anymore. I can tell you it all day long, but it has to be you that does it. Just letting go of this bag and starting the healing process, it's self love. It makes room for so many other things like happiness and joy that might have been taken from you a long time ago and you don't know what it looks like anymore. It could be new beginnings for you. Today is the newest version of you you've ever been. Let's start it on a positive note. Let's drop those bags. Let's start to heal together. So, how do you keep healing day by day, right? That's the question. The truth is, healing is built on, small acts. We're not jumping for the moon here. Little baby steps. Just be mindful of things. Make sure you're moving around. That's the biggest thing that everybody kind of like takes for granted. Movement is great because your bodies are storing all this stress and trauma that you have. So a simple walk, some stretching, yoga is really great because it really releases that stress. So you can really breathe and be you. You also really have to be easy on yourself when you talk to yourself. I know I've said it 100 times, it sounds like a broken record, but you got to say nice things to yourself. But I'm allowed to heal at my own pace. Every day I choose peace over pain. I like this one. I release the need for anyone else's approval. I want you to pick one small commitment to do this week. Not to check a box, and we're not shooting for perfect. Just give yourself one daily act of love. Whatever works for you, whatever works in your time frame, whether it be reading, if you love to read, or walking, exercise, yoga, whatever. It's 5-10 minutes. That's it. Not like anything else. There could be some setbacks. It's a part of healing. Again, the reason because you might have days where you feel strong and free and you've got this and it's a brand new you. And then out of nowhere, something hits you in the face. You hear a song, a memory pops up in your head. A lot of times you might smell something that triggers you, and then you fall right back into that pain. And then what happens? You need to remember, you need to tell yourself, we're not starting over. This isn't failing. Remember, it's not a straight line. Just remember to practice self-compassion for yourself. Talk to yourself the way you'd talk to someone you love. Remind yourself this moment is temporary. You have survived worse, and you are still healing. You don't deserve to hold on to this setback and this pain and anything else that feels like a weight in your stomach or on your shoulders. All of you deserve to feel loved and appreciated and to live a life in a way that you don't feel stressed and it's forced. If you're carrying something that's that heavy, maybe reach out to somebody, maybe in therapy. Maybe find a trusted friend that you know that will listen to what you have to say and has your best interest at hand. Healing begins the moment you say, you, not anyone else, I choose me. I choose peace. I choose to let go. The truth of the matter is, healing is essential because it allows all of us to release that emotional, mental, and physical burdens that come from that pain, that trauma that we hold on to. When we hold on to unprocessed hurt, it can weigh us down and influence how we see ourselves, which then in turn our relationships and then the world around us. But on the flip side, healing gives us the opportunity to break free from those cycles of anger or maybe resentment or self-doubt. It opens the door to peace. Doesn't that sound great? I would love that. It's not about forgetting what happened. That's not the point of this, or pretending it didn't matter. It's about choosing to no longer let that pain control your life. Everything around this is talking about taking back the control of you. There's so many things that are taking that control away from you, and it's wearing you down. Healing also lies in the way it allows growth and transformation. When you start to heal, you really start to find yourself, find your purpose. You might even use your healing process to help other people. That's usually kind of how it works. Ask a lot of people that are in this kind of field. Something happened, and they don't want that to happen to other people. Healing teaches us that even in the face of deep hurt, we can rise and rebuild ourselves, reminding us that we are worthy. You are worthy. All of you. Everyone listening to this podcast episode today is worthy of healing, however it may be. Giving yourself permission to heal, you're reclaiming your power and stepping into a future that isn't dictated by yesterday's pain. Look, I know sometimes you sit there and think, am I even allowed to heal? Sometimes that first step is just challenging that thought. I know someone might have hurt you or left you feeling unworthy. Maybe life threw something at you and you felt like it was a setback, and you started believing that you weren't meant to be happy. That's a lie. The real truth is that being human automatically makes you deserve to be happy, to deserve love, to deserve to heal. No past mistake, trauma, or judgment from others can take that away from you. Remember that. One of the biggest barriers in healing is that guilt. Can't pour from an empty cup. I don't know how many times I've told people that. You can't help other people. You can't help yourself. Healing isn't that selfish. It's necessary. When you take that time to repair your body and your mind and your spirit, you're not only improving your own life, but you're also going to show up for others. You got to give your permission to heal. You have to keep telling yourself that you are worthy. You are important. You do matter. And so does your mental well-being, and so is your healing. Once you believe that you're worthy of that healing, it's time to act. Whether it's self-care, setting boundaries, putting yourself in an environment that you feel like you're supported. Being worthy of healing also means being worthy of a new story, a new chapter in your life. Like I said before, maybe your healing journey will inspire other people. Maybe it will show them or give them that little extra boost to understand that it's time for them to heal. Maybe your past experiences will really deepen your empathy and your strength. Pain can become purpose, but only if you allow yourself to first acknowledge it and then process it correctly and then release it. Stay committed to your healing process. You have to remember you're worthy every day. Make sure you celebrate those small victories because they're still small, but they're still positive victories. Everything adds up. And you have to surround yourself with positive people. People that have the same energy as you is going to help with your healing. And again, remember, it's not a race. So as I close today's episode, I really want you to take one thought with you. Again, and I sound like a broken record, but you have to understand this. You are worthy of healing. You always have been. Not someday. Not when life seems perfect. Don't wait for that. Not when you feel you've earned it. But right now, you are worthy right now. Your pain does not define you. Your healing is your birthright. Take that moment to place your hand over your heart and say it to yourself. I am worthy of healing. And I want you to continue with the rest of this weekend and then into next week and so on and so on. All right. Like always, I want to thank you all for listening to this podcast episode today. And as I leave you with this. Stay grounded. Stay kind to yourself. And remember, strength begins with honesty. Until next time.